Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today I'm just doing a little bit of commentary in regards to apparently there's this post going around from a video that Vivica Fox had did on a talk show. I think it's the Hoda and Jenna show, morning show, one of those kind of morning shows. I'm not really too familiar because I don't really pay attention or watch those kind of things, but kind of got a little bit of information on that and regarding to the topic of somebody of her age looking to settle down now at 60 years old. um so let's just jump into it. Obviously, you guys know on the channel where we talk about things like that, relationships, just health, better living, things of that sort. And hitting on the relationship aspect of things, at 60 years old and you're trying to settle down now, it's obviously too late. I want to hit this from a standpoint of people in general, women in general, that might think that this is okay because a lot of people think this is okay. They run around with, you know, um, in the community and the space now, they refer to them as chads, or whatever the case is, or pookies, or the guy, the dudes who just are there running around having fun, and they get with people like that, and those guys, generally speaking, uh, do nothing for them long term, but they're just having fun with them. And later on in life, since they don't want to settle down, they also think that they are imposing because they want to challenge a man, which is what she spoke on in the interview. Oh, someone who's not intimidated by me. And it's not even about that. It's just so much that like men want peace and they have standards. So getting caught in this delusion of I'm too good for everybody when I'm young. Um, you know, I have these super high standards. I am too intimidating because people won't take my BS and I can't yell at them and complain at them when I want, or whatever the case is. It brings a level of delusion where once they hit a certain age and they don't have as many options, now it's like, okay, I'll take whatever I can, which at this point, Vivica Fox in that interview starts saying, I'll take whatever, any suitors, no matter what the, background that you are and this and that, which is ironic because it contradicts a comment that 50 Cent said one time that Vivica Fox had countered on, which was where he said something about dating more exotic women or women who are coming from different places. And here you have Vivica Fox with no options now saying, I'll take whatever background is available. I'm fine with that. So essentially, you just see the delusion early on turn to desperation in the end. And it's really something for people to learn from because it really, it really does affect the long term. It really does affect for all the people who believe in that way of thinking. It affects family building. You know what I mean? It affects, her trying to have a family now. It affects the idea that you could have had a family a long time ago. You could have had, and this applies to anybody who's in that same boat or had that same way of thinking. You could have settled down and had a family a long time ago. The problem nowadays is that everybody thinks that they are too good for the options standing in front of them. And the options that are standing in front of them, if they do choose to take it, tend to treat it with very little respect and care because they think there's always something waiting around the corner, not realizing that almost all of the options that you have lined up are not options at all. Someone willing to just have sex with you is not an option. Someone who's willing to just have a good time with you and bounce later on, that's not an option. Someone who's willing just to give you attention and not settle down with you, that's not an option. All these things are not options. So the truth is 90% of the options women think they have, they do not actually have. Those are not options. Men are usually a lot more realistic with their options because they understand they might have one or two people who genuinely try to get to know them out of the year. You know what I mean? And it may even be someone that they are super into, but whoever it is, they know, okay, that person genuinely wants something with me because a woman's not going to come to a man and just say, I want to smash. What's going on? That's not going to be the case with most men. So whatever options men have, albeit very little sometimes, is usually genuine, and that gives them a sense of their actual level. Whereas with women, they don't understand men who approach them on a regular basis are not actually an option. Those are just people who are trying to obviously get in the pocket, have their way, have some fun, but that's not the same as having real options. Most of the time, most women's actual options are the guys that they friend zone. And they don't actually count those, but those are usually the guys that are actually options for them. And even some of those guys are not even looking for something long term with them. They just want to get in on the action because they see that person is running through a bunch of other guys, and they're like, "Hey, maybe I could jump into a piece of that." So, in all honesty, just reflecting on that, do not be one of those people. Do not be like Vivica Fox. Learn from this, learn from it really well, because this is, I think, in the next probably 10 years, you're already seeing it happen now, but in the next 10 years, maybe 20 years, everybody who is in their 30s now that are doing this, or 35, 40 years old, it's hitting them now, but soon they'll be Vivica Fox's age at 60 and realizing, oh, shoot, there are no options now, completely no options. And a lot of times they'll try to have a realistic viewpoint at 60 that they should have had when they were 25. The viewpoint they have at 60 would have been realistic at the age of 25. It's not realistic at the age of 60 now. Now you want a nice, quiet, decent guy that you can go and vibe with. You're not getting that now at 60. At 60, you have to share somebody. If you are single, you probably have to share somebody, either that, or if you are 60 years old, you have to get with a man who's probably about 75 years old for him to feel like he's getting something of a prize. Other than that, you're not going to find another man who's 60, because men in their 60s, a man from like 40 to 60 is, like, as they say, like wine. They are in their prime. Even a man at 60 can still look nice, and he can get with somebody who's probably like 30 years old, and it's still going to work out, and he's at his best in terms of finance. At his best in terms of his mental capacity. Look back into the days when I remember when I was in my young 20s, a lot of the women would say they love the idea of Denzel Washington or George Clooney. These guys at that time were, in their 50s and whatnot, and people were looking at them like, yeah, who people who are in their 20s were looking at them like, as an older person, but they're distinguished older gentlemen. Look, I want that. So what that goes to say is that a guy who's in his late 50s, early 60s can have someone who's in their 30s. A woman who is 60 is not going to be able to get a man who's also 60, because he's going to have options below. This is why it's very important. It's very important for women to understand that you have a clock, and that clock is not just a biological clock. You have a clock in terms of the preference of what guys will want, and you not falling into that in terms of just your age range. Not, and when I say a biological clock, I mean, I'm not referring just to the whole aspect of being able to have kids. I'm referring to the aspect of your age within line with the preference of what men want. So be mindful of that. And as always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys